the inventions that never happened, or selling a car to a caveman. Hello, I am Dr. K. Paul Stoller. I have devoted much of my life to helping other people. That sounds noble until you realize how often those efforts seem to end in failure. Last week I found myself unexpectedly emotional while thinking about one of my favorite inventions. Not because I thought it would make me rich, not because I thought it would make me famous, but because I genuinely believed it could help people. And it never got the chance. That realization hit me harder than I ever expected. During my training as a physician scientist, I became fascinated by a simple question. Why are we still attaching things to people? Modern medicine is built around measurement. We attach electrodes, we insert probes, we implant devices, we glue sensors to the skin, and then we try to infer what is happening inside the body, but the body is already generating enormous amounts of information naturally. Every heartbeat, every nerve impulse, every muscle contraction, every thought, every emotion. The human body is an electrical symphony, and one question simply would not leave me alone. What if we could listen without touching? In 1986, my research partner and I published a paper called Remote Physiological Sensing, Historical Perspective, Theories and Preliminary Developments. I know, the title sounds like something designed to cure insomnia, but the idea behind it was anything but boring. We were asking whether it might someday be possible to remotely sense physiological activity without attaching anything directly to the body. At the time, that idea sounded somewhere between science fiction and career suicide. The hardware didn't exist, the computers didn't exist, the signal processing didn't exist, and perhaps most importantly, the imagination didn't exist. People simply couldn't envision where such an idea might lead. Years later, I described the challenge this way. It's like trying to sell a car to a caveman. Not because cavemen are unintelligent, because they have no framework for understanding what a car is. The limitation isn't intelligence. The limitation is imagination. Most inventions don't fail because they're impossible. Most inventions fail because the world isn't ready for them. The patent wasn't really the invention. The cryogenically cooled niobium antenna wasn't the invention. Those were merely components. The real invention was an array, a three-dimensional sensing architecture designed to monitor the body's naturally occurring electrical signals and reconstruct physiological information from those signals alone. At least that was the dream. Back then, the computing power required to process that amount of information would have filled entire rooms and cost millions of dollars. Today, a teenager's gaming computer would embarrass those systems. The world advanced. The idea remained waiting. One potential application always stayed with me. Even today, when fetal monitoring becomes difficult during labor, physicians sometimes rupture the amniotic membranes and attach an electrode directly to the baby's scalp. It is a barb that screws into the scalp. It is barbaric. I've never liked that. What if we could monitor fetal well-being remotely? What if we didn't need to penetrate anything? What if we could simply listen? What if the answer wasn't a better fishhook? What if the answer was no fishhook at all? That possibility mattered to me. It still does. That you see as a toco monitor for the uterus, not the baby. Our patent application ended up delayed for years, not because of medicine, because of the Department of Defense. When you start discussing ELF and SLF frequencies, people get interested. Nuclear submarines communicate in those ranges. Government agencies wanted to be certain I wasn't accidentally inventing something other than a medical device. I remember telling my co-inventor, let them sit on it for years. Nobody is going to understand this for the next 30 years. I wasn't entirely joking. I told myself I wasn't disappointed. After all, I had a good life. I became a physician. I raised a son. I built a hyperbaric medicine practice. I published papers. I treated patients. I fought battles worth fighting, and I survived. But recently I found myself crying over those old inventions again, and I finally understood why. I wasn't grieving the patent. I wasn't grieving the technology. I wasn't grieving the money. I was grieving something much deeper. I was grieving unrealized service. I had another invention, a non-invasive ovulation detector. Primitive by today's standards because it only required an 8K RAM chip. Elegant in concept. The goal wasn't profit. The goal was empowerment. Give women precise knowledge about their own fertility. Not guesswork, not calendars, not dependency, information. I didn't want to get rich from that invention. I wanted women to have it. I wanted it to exist. I wanted it to help people. It took me decades to understand the distinction. The disappointment wasn't about success. It was about usefulness. Many people assume inventors want recognition. Some do. What I wanted was realization. I wanted the ideas to become real. I wanted the suffering they might alleviate to actually be alleviated. There is a tremendous difference between imagining how you might help someone and actually watching it happen. One feeds the ego, the other feeds the soul. As I've gotten older, I've begun to wonder whether I've been keeping score incorrectly. I've spent too much time thinking about the inventions that never happened, the papers that weren't read, the ideas that arrived too early, the dreams that never materialized. But what if that's the wrong metric? What about the patients who recovered, the families that suffered less, the children who were helped, the battles worth fighting even when you don't win, the lives touched along the way? Maybe those count too. A mentor once told me, whatever you choose to do, be at the forefront of your field. For years, I thought that meant success. Now I think it meant something else. Keep looking beyond the horizon. Keep asking questions. Keep imagining possibilities others cannot yet see, and do it in service of something greater than yourself. Yes, the inventions that never happened still make me sad. Perhaps they always will, but maybe their value was never dependent upon whether they were built. Maybe some ideas arrive simply to move the conversation forward. Maybe some dreams are planted long before the world is ready for them, and maybe some seeds take longer than a lifetime to become trees. The measure of a life may not be what we build, but what we inspire others to build.